back to Joseph, this will tie in perfectly because once he becomes prime minister and the famine hits and the bottom drops out of life, it impacts those family members.
Those same brothers.
Far away in Canaan.
Yep.
Now then, we got brothers that are told by their dad, you need to go where this guy is that's got the granary and you need to get food because we're going to starve if we stay here.
Yep.
And they have no idea that's their long-lost brother.
Right, right.
Until finally, through a series of events we'll not go into because it's all a part of the story, they're face to face and become aware that they're standing in front of the brother that they have hurt and offended.
Yeah, betrayed them.
What a moment. The emotion of that is enormous.
Yeah.
You can feel, if you put yourself in any way in that scene, the brothers with this.
They're terrified.
He is going to wipe us out.
And it appears, because we don't always think about this, it appears that he would have the power to do that. That would not be considered something beyond his control, or however that.
Yeah, those guys meant nothing to Pharaoh.
Right, right.
They're there with their hand out. But Pharaoh, because of his trust in Joseph, gives him the room.
Has empowered him. Yeah.
And through a series of events, they wind up realizing we're dealing with this brother.
Yeah.
Now, that prompts me. When you were back and you had occasion to come alongside your father, was there ever a time where the two of you talked it out or confronted what had happened? Or was it not quite that clear and simple?
In our situation, I think what we saw was a slow leaking tire. So before I ever left, I knew the tire was leaking. I didn't know what it would all become, but I certainly had some suspicions about how these things, I mean, the business and the success became consuming. Yeah. And so before I left, things had become very challenging. Even amidst the success, certainly I had played an important part, and for me to leave was going to leave a hole of some sort.
In the business?
In the business.
Were you in the manufacturing part?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
And so that was challenging, but to me, much more the family.
Of course.
I mean, we were a family. We had always been a family. That was my father. That was my mother. And
these are relationships.
And none of those other things mattered.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, sales and new manufacturing goals and more equipment and all the things that go on.
Well, of course, you're the type that money hasn't turned your head.
Well, maybe in hindsight we could say that, but I didn't know. I didn't know, was I going to go down the same road? And I didn't know if I was going to be the same type of person to go down the same road.
Oh, yeah.
But I began to think about that. I mean, ministry in many ways was very hard then because I grew up in a family of ministry. We didn't grow up doing business. We grew up in ministry. And yet now I'm in seminary. I'm training for full-time ministry. I've chosen to leave the business. Yeah. The business is still successful, but the family is hurting, especially my mom and especially my sister, both who went through very, very difficult times. And my brother as well, but also had his own family and was in the process of removing himself as well.
You seem so calm telling this. Back then, weren't you angry?
Yeah, I struggled
or dissolute, whatever the word is. You give me the words.
I struggled with every emotion. I wanted to do a lot of bad things. Right? Ultimately, there's a lot of thoughts of revenge. Well, what if I would do this, right? Or maybe it would be so good if that guy did that, and you know, and you feel all that, and then you wake up the next morning and I can't believe I thought that. Yeah. But I did.
Sure.
I did think that. I struggled with all sorts of things, and a lot of self-questioning, self-doubt. Was I going to go down this same path? Was you know,
what if it's in your genes?
Yeah.
You wonder if that's part of your DNA.
part of it is because I would never have imagined this 10, 15 years ago, right? Well, my parents, they're not going to break up. There's not going to be a divorce there. And then when you're in the middle of it, and I mean, divorce has hit so many so hard. I can't imagine being a young child who's seeing their parents go through divorce. But you know what? As a 29-year-old, I was probably a little older, 31-year-old, it's just as hard.